Good morning. This is Community Corner. I'm Kathy Jones. About 20 million crimes are committed nationwide every year. And who helps the victims of those crimes? Joining us this morning is Jeff Dion. He's the director for the National Crime Victim Bar Association. It's an affiliate of the National Center for Victims of Crime. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Kathy.
Now, first off, could you tell us about the National Center for Victims of Crime?
Sure. The National Center for Victims of Crime is a nonprofit organization that advocates for victims' rights, trains professionals who work with victims, and serves as a trusted source of information on victims' issues.
Now, also something else that I saw that you are working on is having to do with bail and what happens to someone when they're released on bail.
That's right. When someone is arrested and charged with a crime, victims think, okay, that person's going to stay in jail until they're tried, but that's not the case. Oftentimes, people are let out in just a couple hours later, and that's really frustrating for victims. What would victims want? Victims want people to stay in jail and not be bailed out. But you know what? Our jails just can't accommodate all these people, and so we recognize that we've got to focus on who is dangerous or who is going to take off and not show up for court, and those are the people we need to focus on. And in Dallas, they had a huge problem where over 50% of the felony warrants that were out there, people were unavailable for prosecution because they didn't know where these folks were. And so we think it's really important that we work with everyone involved in the system on when someone has to be released pending trial, that we keep track of that person, that they're so that they don't reoffend, and that we know what's going on with them. And that's why we think it's important to work with the bail industry. And sometimes they get a really bad rap, but what I've learned is, and I'm a lawyer, and lawyers have a really bad reputation too. But what I learned about bail agents are they're a lot like lawyers. There's good ones and bad ones, and so we want to work with some of the good ones. And you've got some really good ones in Dallas, and we've been working with a national company, ExpertBail, that's really taken an interest in saying, how can we make the system work better to make it safer for victims, to make sure that offenders show up in court? Because a victim can't get rights if there's no trial, and there's not going to be a trial unless the offender shows up. And I think that in the Dallas area, you're really a little more advanced than other places because you've started to work with people in the bail industry to try and solve some of these problems and understand that they've got a role to play.